school's gonna have to go it alone if they want. We had the town accountant run the numbers of, or the treasurer ran the numbers, I'm sorry. For a 2.5 override of, was it $450,000, I think it was? Do you remember the
I don't remember.
email?
I thought it was $770,000, and it ended up being $440 per household.
Right,
Where the evaluation was $270,000.
right, that sounds
That would be
right.
an increase of $440
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. So, yeah, 440. So if your house is valued at 275, and we were to override 700, that would set us 700, we would gain $700,000 of revenue in taxes every year going forward, and that would equate to a $440 increase on everybody's taxes, and that would never go down. As opposed to the debt exclusion under 2.5. So if we borrow money, say we borrow a couple of $100,000 or a million, say the fire department thing, right? We need a couple $1 million to get them into the highway thing. That is a short term. I think she did it based on 15 years of borrowing, and that resulted in 68 cents per thousand. So a $275,000 home would pay $70.
It was like $70.
$70 for 15 years, and then once that goes away, it comes off. So, and then we, typically we replace it with other things, so it kind of, practically speaking, doesn't go away, but it can if we have money in capital improvements to, we had a capital improvement plan for the longest time with a capital improvement planning committee. We knew what our needs were, but not a dime was put into the capital stabilization account. So if you know what your needs are, but you don't have money to pay it, you're still stuck with borrowing. So we do have money in cap stabilization now.
Mr. Chairman, I did find the emails.
Okay.
So it would be, this is for the Donovan Road purchase. For 15 years, it would be 28 cents per thousand. So a home valued at $275,000 would be impacted an estimated $77 per year.
Okay.
For that 15-year term. For an override, a $750,000 override would be $1.68 per thousand, or $455 a year for a $270,000 valued property forever, or until a vote is taken to terminate the override.
Right.
Well, the thing with the debt exclusion is you get something, after
Solid.
15 years, you own whatever you have.
Correct.
On the override,
Correct.
you're just dumping money, you're taking money from the residential homeowner that can't afford it, and what are you getting for it? You're gonna get some different services and whatnot, but you don't have anything, I don't think you have anything to hold on to.
Mm.
And there's a lot of people in town that can't afford that override.
Yeah, and I think their report, the school's report, said that we are an elderly population, and that the school census isn't going to increase very much over the years because we have a big elderly population. So, yes.
Even with an override now, without them fixing whatever's going on with their budget, because it keeps increasing. Mr. Lynn even stated their budget is unsustainable as years go on. So what do? We keep coming back to an override every year. All the departments keep cutting every year. I don't get for what.
Yeah. At one point, it was they were dipping into stabilization to level it, and that gets unsustainable also. So.
Well, he also said that the town is ready for a reset, as in the tax rate. I remember him using it. Why
Yeah.
doesn't the school reset itself?
that
They're
should
the
happen.
ones that need the reset, because they're taking, what, 54% of the town's
Yeah.
budget? Is that
50
what the number is, 54? Somewhere around.
54% of all the revenue in town goes to the school. So it's not only the 6 million that we give to them generally, there's also about 2 million in benefits that comes off the general ledger. And then the school choice out money comes off the general ledger, and this choice in money goes back to them through Chapter 70, so it goes directly to the school. So we're paying for that. And then things like busing, that does not factor into net school spending. So the $6 million we're giving them, net school spending for us is 3.4 million, and we give 6.1 last year. So we're well over net school spending, but there's a lot of things that we have to pay for that don't figure into net school spending, and transportation is one of them. Interestingly enough, if we were to regionalize, transportation would be reimbursed 80%. So, and the only reason we're paying transportation full bore for us is because we're not in a regional system, and that's the way it works, so.
So, I'm just a little confused now, because Mr. Lynn, one of the things in the school committee last week was, he said if we cut down the buses, down to just 2, but if it doesn't come out of his budget, how?
Those don't figure into net school spending, and he accounts for those. But the benefit stuff, health insurance, retirement stuff for the teachers in the union, come out of the general, under the treasurer's account. So, and everybody, the town's budget is posted on the town's website. Go on and look at it before town meeting, and and you can verify and see what we're saying. There's just no place to cut that's going to have any meaningful impact. Certainly not for $387,000. We're going to have to cut some big ticket items and some necessary services to cover that gap. So that's where we're at on that. Anything else to be said? Nope. Okay.
You have to do the hearing.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
I'm late. I apologize, making you guys wait so long. So I will open the hearing for the application for a license. Where's the,
Should be the last thing in your folder.
I mean, I have a package here, but is there something that says what,
Application for license?
yeah, with the, oh, okay, this probably works. On behalf of the property owner and applicant, CMG respectfully submits the above noted documentation in support of the fuel storage application that will allow for underground storage of fuels as well as outdoor propane storage. So that's what's in front of it. Yeah, that didn't really. So it's an application for a license.
Oh,
It's
that's
a-
this one.
It's a new
You got it.
license.
That's the same,
Yeah.
the second one you got.
Yeah. Fueling station and convenience store, so it's underground tanks. Maximum quantity 12,000 gallons, underground storage of class 1B. Another gasoline 1B, 8,000 gallons, and diesel fuel class 2 for 6,000 gallons. Total of all flammable liquids to be stored 20,000 gallons. Combustibles to be stored 6,000. So that's the application. So let's hear from you.
Good evening, Jim Bernardino with CMG Environmental. We are now here today with CCS Realty LLC, the owner and applicant of the property over at 215 North Main Street. Just to give you a quick summary of the overall project. I think most of you are probably aware. It's a redevelopment of the noted property. We're going to raise and rebuild the existing infrastructure out there. We're going to tear down those old dilapidated buildings, construct a new convenience store, approximately about 3,900 square feet, with 3 what we call MPDs, multiple product dispensers for the fuel. That'll be covered by a canopy as well. The site also has 12 parking spaces associated with it. We've gone through the permitting with a planning board that's been long past the last couple months. So we've coordinated all types of technical aspects of the development, meaning layout, landscaping, lighting, traffic impacts, and things of that nature. And what's remaining right now is obviously why we're here this evening, which is a fuel storage license. Generally, the Board of Selectmen review the application requests for the underground storage. As you read in the summary there, we're seeking to have, it's actually 3 tanks that we have underground. One's a shared tank. One tank will be storage of 12,000 gallons of regular gasoline. The other tank is a 14,000 gallon tank, which will be split storage. $8,000 would be the premium unleaded, with $6,000 being the diesel component of it. Also part of the application, which wasn't really part of applications historically, but they've added it, which is the propane storage. So we're looking to add, the outdoor propane tank storage, Blue Rhino type of deal, of approximately 200 gallons of exterior storage in a tank, in tanks. That's basically approximately 40 tanks, 5-gallon capacity. With that said, this is just to allow for the fuel storage on the site. There's a slew of other construction permits that have to be coordinated with the state fire marshal as well as the local fire department, installation, inspections and the like. That'll all happen in due course of time, subject to the approval of this license and continued coordination with contractors and the like. So with that, I think what's in front of the board this evening is the application for the storage itself. Other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions regarding the technical aspects of the underground tanks, the designs, I'm glad to go into it with you. But we do assure you that it does get a very thorough review with the State Fire Marshal's Department as well as the local fire department, just doing the due course of construction permits.
And the fire chief is signed off on this, as far as he could go.
Yes, the fire chief did. He was the very first contact that we've reached out to before we made the applications. So he was aware of that. There was some confirmatory emails that he reviewed and was in support of it and acknowledged that this is step one, and then due course of time we'll move through all of the other more technical aspects with the State Fire Marshal's office.
Yeah, he signed the document here for approving it,
Yep.
so. Chief, anything to add to that, or?
Is he still on?
Yeah, I thought the application was very good. I like the plans. They're all going to be, obviously, they're all being reviewed by engineers, DEP, the fire marshal's office. The property itself had fuel storage at one time, as it was. And usually fuel storage licenses continue for the rest of the life of the property, even upon a sale or anything of that nature. They can be disbanded at some point in time. So this is something that would come from the town to give permission to store the storage, flammable liquids on the property. And the way they get stored is extremely safe.
Excellent, thanks. Anybody have anything to say on the subject? No? All right. You all right?
Yeah, no,
No
it's good.
questions
I
or
mean,
anything?
they went through hoops to get through the planning board with everything, and I know they're gonna do their due diligence with the DEP and the fire marshal, and
Okay.
they have gas stations already in place in other towns, so.
Well, if nobody has any further comment, I will close the hearing and entertain a motion on the permit application for the license.
Make a motion.
So moved.
All right, motion's been made to approve the license application. I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good. All set. All right.
Have a good day, everyone.
Is this the waste management?
Yep, that's the original contract that they signed, they sent over for us to sign.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to step this back to the next meeting.
Okay.
Because I want to review to make sure that we can get out of it, should we need to.
No.
Okay.
There's water in every day for the flowers and stuff. Thank you.
So we have the contract with Casella that increases the tonnage. If we have to, we got to step it back, because if there's no out language here and things need to be cut after the June 4th meeting, I don't want to be stuck in a contract for $100,000 a year if we don't have money to pay for it. So let's step that back. Let me
Send it to
review.
town council again, or do you want to wait until after the annual adjourns and see where we are?
Yeah, we'll wait and see where we're
Okay.
at. And I'll look to see if there's any out language, and if we need town council to review it, we'll send town council.
So when we said we might have to shut down the recycle center, that's the whole thing, not just the cans and the bottles and the
Right,
paper.
that's the, yeah,
whole
transfer station,
recycling
the whole.
transfer station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's, you know, the employees that work there, that's the removal of our trash from town, the $250 a ton that we have to pay
Yeah.
to remove it. That's $13,000 a year in bags. So that's,
Yeah,
that'd have to be the whole operation,
yeah.
you know, to see the savings.
Yeah,
Yes,
does that mean that my household would have to get garbage company to come to my house?
yep,
That's like a lot more than getting a sticker on it.
that is. But that puts it on to the resident, which is what the vote would be doing, right? I mean, if you're gonna vote to fund
That's
this,
gonna make my household budget unstable. So.
that's all
make
these,
some Cuts at home.
it's all these choices,
Yeah.
right? So, but I don't know where the revenue's gonna come from. That's the whole thing. That's, that I don't, money doesn't grow on trees. That's one of the first things my parents taught me when I was a very young kid. I just don't understand how people don't grasp that. And if we don't have the revenue, we don't have the revenue. It's, so you're gonna feel it some way or another, you know?
I look at it all through the prism of my household budget, because we have a small budget, and being able to, you know, I had 4 kids and the cars, everything you need, and you gotta stay within a certain amount. I mean, we went years, we never even had pizza, because we couldn't afford it.
Well, and see, and that's the point here, when the school talks about the teachers in the area, they're getting paid what other teachers in the area are, some more than, some less than. We hear that for every department. We are a small town that can only afford certain things. We had 2 bad accountants because all we could afford to pay an accountant was like $40,000 a year. Who's gonna do that job for that? And then you get what you pay for, but that's what we had, right? The police department doesn't get paid as much as police departments in the area get paid. They know that they come here, most police officers come here as a stepping stone. They get great training and education from the chief and the lieutenant who have a ton of experience, and then they go to a bigger department. That's the way it goes. And we understand that, the chief understands that. We live within our means everywhere else, and that's, the argument to me just falls flat, and but that's where we're at. And it's going to be kicked around at town meeting. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of discussion on it. So just want people to realize.
I do have one question about town meeting. I don't know who the town manager would be able to answer it. But it's being said that one of the board members is getting children to write these little letters about the things being cut, and that she plans to read it all during the meeting, which I did reach out to her, and I said, that seems more like something you would do at a school board meeting, not a town meeting where we're trying to deal with budget issues. If she's going to be able to do that, would I be able to do a similar thing?
Well, the finance committee has developed, because they are aware of that, that went out looking for comment from children as to how
Right.
losing music and the cuts that the
Right.
school was going to make was going to affect the children, and she was going to make a presentation at town meeting.
Yes.
So the finance committee has developed a PowerPoint presentation
Okay.
based on the cuts that I had mentioned, because
Yes.
that was also discussed with the finance committee. And so they are prepared to show that at the town meeting also.
Just a little quick FYI. Old Sturbridge Academy doesn't have their music or their art teacher or their gym, but other teachers are incorporating those things into their curriculum, so the kids are still getting it. But they had to.
And that school makes a ton of money.
Old Sturbridge Academy?
They make a ton
How do they make a ton?
because it's a private school.
It's not private.
It's a charter
It's
school.
a charter school.
It's
And
a
the,
public.
and the town pays a
Yes.
lot more than the town was supposed to have to pay for it, I can tell you
It's a
that.
charter public school.
Yeah.
Because we were told when the vote came up on the state ballot for charter schools, the selling point, they got everybody to vote for it, was it wasn't going to cost the towns any money. Well, if you look at the cherry sheet, it's costing us a ton of money.
Out of
So-
curiosity, how much does it cost for one student from this town to go to that school? Having a child, my grandchild goes to that school.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the tuition for the town is. I just know that it's done on the cherry sheets as offsets. So it's
Okay.
not hard money, but it takes away from our revenue. So last year we got, I think it was,
Because you pay the
It's like,
choice.
it ended up being up to, it was over $100,000, I know that, this past year.
yeah, that first year was a big
It was
whack.
minimal.
And then, there it is. I get it right here, I can tell you what the charter school assessment for FY20 was 83,000. For FY21 was 119,000. For FY22 it was projected to be 190,000.
Do we know how many kids that is in?
That's a charter school assessment. That's what the town's assessed. So I think it's based on not how many kids go there, but how many spots we have available for kids to go there, which is different. But it's a big whack. And then the offset we get from that this year, I think, was only $17,000 on the cherry sheet. In years past, it was 60,000. So
Tell me
that,
I'm now gonna look at that too.
yeah, you can go onto the state's website, just Google Massachusetts
Yeah, I
cherry
was-
sheets, and it'll show you the
I was
revenue.
poking around and all that, and at a point it gets confusing.
But
So,
it-
so if we have one person going, one child, and there's 10 spots, that means 9 other kids could sign up for that?
Yeah.
To be using up that money,
That's my understanding.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Don't worry about that, there's not many open spots.
well, I don't know.
There's a very
There's
long
huge waiting lists, no
right
one's,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, but if we're paying that money,
I know, I was just,
if we're paying that money, we should have the
Yeah,
spot
yeah.
available.
They start the new 7th grade next year.
it's
My
just a
granddaughter's
straight
going in
lottery.
7th grade.
Yeah.
It's just- I don't think the lottery has anything to do with based on where you live, it's just a straight
Yeah.
random lottery.
Yeah, the lottery.
Yeah, and I think that
ran
was
over
the-
several towns.
Wasn't it a ramp up X amount of spots the first year, then a
Yes.
little more the next year, and they were
Because
gonna,
they add a grade every year, so
Okay.
grandchild started in 3rd grade, then they brand new 4th grade, and then the brand new 5th grade, and then they kept all the, and now the 6th, and next year the
Yeah.
7th, and they go up to the 8th grade, but they're still trying to work all that.
but the point is, it's more of a drain on the town finances than it was promised us to be
Okay, I didn't know
originally.
that.
So, that does affect us on our our bottom line, so that affects the amount of money we have available for other things. So that is one of the problems we have.
Do they have a class for senior guys? Technology class or something?
I would like to go there because they're out in that village all the time.
I would take a technology class over there.
Technology and everything.
All right, what else we got?
This is to get us off a certain list for grant funding for the sewer project, because the list we got put on was only gonna give us like 4 to 9%, and we wanna be off that list and on USDA so we can get like hopefully 40% to 50% grants.
So we're looking to, so this is addressed to the Executive Director of Massachusetts Clean Water Trust. Thank you for reaching out to the town of North Brookfield regarding its project on the 2021 intended use plan. That's for the sewer upgrade.
Yes.
I'm responding to let you know that at this time we will be unable to meet the deadlines for design completion required by the state revolving fund for this funding. We understand that as a result, our project will be removed from the SRF list of fundable projects. And we need to do that,
We do, in
For-
order to get on the USDA.
which is
Much
monetarily,
larger.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to do that.
So,
Second? All in favor?
all right.
Okay. Sustainable Materials Recovery Grant?
We're not doing that. I talked to Trevor, and he's gonna look into it. He doesn't think it's a great idea, so we'll hold on.
Okay, that's something from the Board of Health?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Vote on license fee for fuel storage.
We need to have a licensing fee. It's a yearly fee that they'll have to pay to maintain their license. Area towns are anywhere from like 100 to 150, so.
Well, we have a $378,000 shortfall.
Okay,
So-
that sounds good.
Compared to one gas station, yeah.
And they left.
And they
so-
left, they don't have any say, so.
All right, so what's the surrounding stuff?
Like 100 to 150. Bigger cities are obviously more, but small towns like us, it's like between 100 and
Mr. Chairman,
150.
we have 20,000 at bond. We pay $150 to Spencer for our license.
So 150 seems to be the going rate.
Yeah.
Yep,
150?
sounds good. They're bringing a good-sized business to town, so we don't want to kill them with.
Yeah, we don't want to give it away free either, so.
Right, yep,
All right, so motion, $150 license fee.
so moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
All right.
Okay, fuel storage license hearing, we did that at 6:15. Do we have police reports in here?
They should be in there. There should be,
Oh, yeah.
it's double-sided, trying to save money.
Appreciate that. You want to read that, police reports?
Sure. March and April. The monthly police report for March 2021. On March 9th, 2021, we conducted the interviews for the hiring of a full-time officer to replace James Early. We had 3 full-time trained officers apply for the position. As with the previous hiring, I asked the Police Advisory Board to assist with the process. Chief Michael Cloutier from Fitchburg State University, North Brookfield School Superintendent Mr. Richard Lind, and Detective Barbara Fisher from Granby Police Department participated in the process. At the conclusion, they unanimously recommended Mr. Mark Sawyer to move forward in the process. Officer Jeff Martin attended Breaking and Entering Evidence and Recovering Crime Scene Investigation course. Below is the course description. This 2-day, 16-hour hands-on course will enable the newly assigned investigator or first responding officer assigned to handle evidence at the most common crime scenes, house breaks and commercial breaks. The officer will also gain the fundamental skills necessary to respond to stolen, recovered motor vehicles, drug crimes, and assaults. The methods for developing latent prints on evidence are vast and plenty, but the concepts addressed in this course will help the investigator with the first steps and basic techniques in processing evidence from these types of scenes, utilizing a systematic approach to document systematic approach to document, preserve, protect, process, and collect items at the crime scenes. The following incidents were logged for March 2021. 26 incidents, 11 arrests, summons custody, 4 civil citations, 0 parking tickets, 2 protection orders, 6 accidents, 18 license to carry firearm ID cards processed. That was March. This is April. On April 13th, 2021, Mr. Mark Sawyer was present to the Board of Selectmen for their review and approval to be appointed as full-time police officer. Mr. Sawyer has a complete background investigation performed by Lieutenant Ryan Daly. This included a complete records check, reference check, personal visits to his home, current place of employment, and with his neighbors. All that were spoken to had all good praise and support for Mr. Sawyer becoming a police officer with the North Brookfield Police Department. Officer Mark Sawyer, sworn in his first shift, was on April 27th, 2012.
I think he
20,
transposed.
is that 2021?
I think so.
Okay, numbers are bad.
Uh-huh.
His first shift was on April 27th, 2021. Patrolman Jeff Martin attended Dust and Bust Crime Scene Investigation course. Below is the course description. The new format of this course involves exposure to multiple crime scenes. This soup to nuts 3-day, 24-hour hands-on crime scene class will cover basic approach, preservation methods, documentation procedures, basic and advanced processing techniques, as well as final evidence reporting and presentation of findings. This will be a highly intense course that will challenge the officers' detectives' ability to handle the scene from response to report. The goal is to equip the student with the fundamental evidentiary knowledge of crime scene investigation techniques and gain mastery of the techniques necessary to obtain latent impressions, blood and bio collection, and preparation for submission to AFIS, DNA, drug, and firearms ballistics lab analysis. Lieutenant Daly managed the Commonwealth of Massachusetts grant for the department's required radio upgrade. The town will be receiving $30,510.75 reimbursement for the replacement and upgraded equipment, and the approximate cost to the town will be $4,583.39. The purchase, installation of this equipment, and upgrading of the existing equipment that can be used on the upgraded system shall be completed by the end of the fiscal year. The following incidents were logged for April 2021. 28 incidents, 13 arrests, summons custody, 3 civil citations, 1 parking ticket, 2 protection orders, 7 accidents, and 10 license to carry firearm IDs processed. Respectfully submitted, Mark Smith, Chief of Police.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the reports of the police department.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, anything else we got?
Yes, there's a couple additions. So there's the Chapter 90 project requests, there's 4 of them.
So the highway superintendent's looking to spend Chapter 90 monies on North Street, 5,222 feet at 22 feet wide. Doesn't have a price on it. Oh, 88,162. The second one is Brooks Pond Road, another 5,222 feet at 22 feet wide, top coat to finish binder work with an overlay, $98,970. And Bullard Road, 3,320 feet on Bullard Road, 20 feet wide. He's going to put 2.5-inch binder reclam, full depth, is that reclaim?
Reclaim full depth
Yeah.
reclamation.
And apply 2.5-inch binder intersection of Brickyard to Old East Brookfield Road. $5,000 in gravel, $700 in pipe. Total cost of that job $69,752. And then he's got another $82,947 for Brickyard Road, 2.5-inch binder, Bullard to Old East Brookfield. So
Are they grinding that first and using the
They
grinding?
pulverize it, so it's not grinding, they won't be taking the asphalt off. They bring in, All States has this big pulverizing machine,
Okay.
and it smashes everything. It pushes the old asphalt into the base. Then they bring and they grade it so that it's graded appropriately, and then they can pave right over that, so.
So that's the base,
Yes.
what's there.
It makes a superior base.
Yeah. And what was that, the old oil and sand that we've used for years and years?
That probably
and stuff?
was,
Yeah,
yep,
because those roads are awful down there.
yep.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the chapter 90 request.
So moved.
I will second. All in favor?
All right. And Brooks Pond needed that top coat
It does,
from the Oakham Road to the bridge.
correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, well,
Waiting.
it'll go down to like FT Smith, and that's where they stopped. I don't think he's gonna do top to the bridge, though, because that area was
they
never
never did it,
paved.
yeah.
So I don't
There's other
know.
things we need to do, but, he wants to change pay night to 6:19. For the one-day liquor license, it was supposed to be 6:26, but there was a wedding or something that most of them weren't attending, so.
Yeah, you just gotta squeeze your signature.
Where am I going, down the bottom?
Yeah,
here?
down the bottom
Oh,
next
all
to
right.
me,
I was gonna
'cause-
say that,
There's not much room there, so.
good thing there ain't three of us.
Yeah.
Finally getting some roads fixed.
And the next is an amendment to the liquor license, one-day liquor license for the fire department. Their pay night supper is now going to be held on 6/19. And it was originally, what, 6/26?
6:26.
So we need a motion to amend the license to be valid for 6/19/21.
6:19
Mhm.
instead of what, 6:26?
6/26, yeah.
So moved.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
So we can change the date on that.
Okay. This is just a letter, the Friends of the Townhouse are applying for more funding, and we need a letter of support from the Selectmen.
Do we know where they're trying to get funding from?
They're doing that one-stop grant.
A grant?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to sign the letter of support for obtaining funding for the townhouse.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And then I think the only thing left is just announcements. So this is, Brandon sent me this, and then Memorial Day services, Family Fun Day, and then that's the Historical Society thing.
Yeah. This- Okay, so that's signed. Okay, so that's announcements. All right, so next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody? Anything? Anyone?
I'd just like to, about the school funding, I think this was helpful tonight, before we have the meeting on June 4th, for the people to have heard the school committee's side and the superintendent's side of what would be cut in a worst-case scenario, and to hear the town side of what would be cut to make up for that deficit in a worst-case scenario. So I think that was helpful, and I appreciate having those numbers laid out there so that everyone can see what that is. So.
Yeah, and I encourage everybody, the budgets are posted. The school committee's budget's now posted on the school's website.
It's right on the if you click on announcements on the school page, even on your phone, you can get it.
Yeah, as is the town's budget. So, you know, there are places to cut. I mean, there are certain legalities on the budgeting. So, for instance, the school committee can transfer money anywhere in their own budget without coming to the town. So the town only approves a lump sum money that they're giving to the school. The school committee says entirely where they can spend it. Now, the statute says that anybody at town meeting can suggest to the school committee where the money should go, but it's non-binding, it's just informative. You could just have your say and let them know what you're thinking.
And a lot of that's because there's state required funds that we have to kind of fill in first. That's why, that's where that list comes from of things that would be cut. Is just, all right, here's what we have to do per mandate from the state.
Yep.
And then, you know, I heard a lot of talk about the kindergarten and things like that, and I know how important full year kindergarten, you know, full day kindergarten is, but when you look at the state mandate, it says you only need 425 hours, and it's like it just has to immediately go. That's the first thing you can put on that list. You know, well, that's not the first thing, but that's one of those things that you can move over just because it's not required by the state. So it's good to see where that budget is and to see where all the different departments lay out. I know it's having gone through the budgeting process, it is, I mean, to the dollar for things like, you know, we need paper clips, and here's where, you know, here's this department needs paper clips, and the high school needs this, and it's a lot of numbers that all combine into that still lengthy list of things on the budget. But it's good for everyone to look at that and to look at the town budget and just go to the town meeting informed of what's going on. I think it's helpful for everyone. And you know, as hard as this last month or two has been, I think it's getting people more engaged, which is good. So, you know, they'll next year they know where we are and what the process is like, and we can hopefully prevent it from happening again.
Yeah, well, they're difficult choices. Certainly ain't easy. I know finance committee's all stressed out and the board's all stressed out. I'm sure the school committee's all stressed out. They're just
I would
money
say
out
we
there.
are stressed
So
out.
but it's just like your household budget.
Do we know what the state still hasn't given us their numbers yet, have they? The final chapter 70?
Not the final. We're at the
We're operating under the
reconciliation.
assumed projected amount right now.
Yeah, it's, so if you
It really
go
hasn't
on,
helped the process.
no, because they keep chipping away.
Yeah.
So if you go on to Google Massachusetts cherry sheets, it'll come up Department of Revenue, you go and you click on the town and it'll give you your assessments and your revenues, and that's where we get most of our money, revenue projections and costs. So if you go to the assessments, you'll see school choice out money comes under assessments, charter school comes under assessments. And then on the revenue ledger, there's a line item for Chapter 70. That's the state aid that we get from the Commonwealth for the school. It goes directly into the school. And you'll see that there are 4 different columns. So it goes, the governor recommends. There's a governor's recommendation. Then it goes to the House. So the House recommends, that's the second set of numbers. Then the Senate recommends, that's the third set of numbers. And I think that's where we're at. And then the last set is the reconciliation between the House and the Senate. And I think that gives us our final numbers.
This is a really good time of year if you like spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Like,
I do.
This is prime spreadsheet time right now.
Yeah.
Well, the last 3 months, all of the departments have had to ask us if they could spend over $200 on repairs and tires for equipment. Actually couldn't buy stamps to do mailings without going through us and finance because the money wasn't there. You know, it's gotten a little bit better now because, you know, taxes are being paid and whatnot, but I mean, we all went through, Ashley's putting stuff on both sides of the papers now. When I started, we would get one paper on one side. Now we're doing double side. All the town departments are doing that to save paper and ink and stuff. So, I mean, that's,
Yeah, it's that tight.
it is, you know.
I gotta figure out how to double use stamps.
We had trucks that needed to be repaired over here at Highway and we couldn't repair them because they couldn't spend, didn't have the money to buy the parts.
So if it goes to the vote and it comes down that we have to pay for the school, and you're telling us that you're gonna cut police department, fire department to make up, and then the transfer station, what happens next year? Because
Yep.
Mr. Lynch said this is not sustainable, his budgeting and what the school is spending. He said it. So next year, they're gonna raise this
Do it
again, but it's gonna be even more money, and if we have to cut it, we're gonna have nothing next year to cut.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, we can't lose our fire department on the weekends and the police department at night. We can't. That's just horrible.
So if we lose, say the fire department is unmanned on the weekend, you have a fire, you're gonna get fire trucks from other towns.
No, we
But
have a
that's-
volunteer fire department.
Okay,
But for the past year or so, they've had somebody at the station, full-time,
okay.
to be there to take calls and whatnot. So that'll go away.
Yeah, and just,
We still have the volunteers.
yeah,
But it's just gonna,
they'll still respond. They
Yeah,
just
they'll
won't be,
respond.
the response time will probably be a
That's
little
what
bit
I was
slower.
getting to, the response time is gonna eventually get,
And there's been
Yeah.
at least 4 that I know of, and if I only know of 4, I'm willing to bet there's probably a dozen more.
yeah.
Emergencies that they've handled by being there.
Yep.
Just the other day, somebody pulled in with a not breathing child or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey sent, they probably have it still. He sent me a text about it the other day. And then there was a construction worker working on something, cut his hand or something, and
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
brought him over here and,
I've gone there at nighttime due to people having fires up against their tree.
yeah,
but somebody was there.
Yeah, 2.5-year-old carried into the fire station by his father. He saw
Oh.
the doors open, the child wasn't breathing. 5 of us worked on the child, all the way out to UMass. Police department notified. So, it was lucky somebody was there. He was able to pull in, he saw the doors open, somebody there, so.
Make it? Okay.
I believe it was a successful outcome.
Yeah, it was.
He would have told me if it went bad,
Yeah.
so.
We have an excellent fire and EMS.
Oh, we can imagine going through that, oh.
But difficult choices face us, and we'll be hashing it out at town meeting, so, which brings us to, unless anybody has anything else to bring up. Brings us to announcements. The adjourned annual town meeting will be Friday, June 4th, 7:30 PM at the elementary school auditorium. I'll also mention that there will be a revisiting of the money that was allocated, not allocated, wasn't approved at town meeting for the water issue at the Arnold's residence on
Okay.
Summer Street. Jim Caldwell wasn't comfortable with the footing of whether it was a 2/3 vote versus a
Yeah.
majority vote.
Yeah.
I wasn't comfortable with the motion not being presented, so the motion was never actually read to the floor.
Oh.
So, yeah, our bylaw requires it to be in writing, but you have to speak your motion so that everybody knows what they're voting on. I mentioned it had to come from stabilization, but that didn't come in the motion, so had the motion been read, I would have amended it to read from stabilization. So there were some inconsistencies that led both Jim and myself to reach out to town council with the issues. We heard back from town council, and he says that based on viewing the procedural irregularities, that we should revisit it and revote it. So that will be done on June 4th. It will be revisited on June 4th and allow everybody to at least have a say and know what they're voting on and have the motion read appropriately and stuff like that. So just so everybody's aware of that, if you had an interest in that vote, make sure you show up June 4th for that. Next, following announcement, is this Brandon. The North Brookfield Historical Society is pleased to present a talk and book signing by Robert Ernest Hubbard, hosted by the North Brookfield Senior Center. So it says, General Rufus Putnam, George Washington's chief military engineer and the father of Ohio during the Revolutionary War, Rufus Putnam served as the Continental Army's chief military engineer, as designer and supervisor of the construction of major fortifications. His contribution helped American forces drive the British Army from Boston and protect the Hudson River. Several years after the war, Putnam personally founded the first permanent American settlement in the Northwest Territory at Marietta, Ohio. Putnam's influence and vote prevented the introduction of slavery in Ohio, leading the way for Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Wisconsin to enter the U.S. as free states. This first full-length biography in more than 130 years covers his wartime service and long public career. Rufus Putnam called North Brookfield home for 20 years. It was during this time that Putnam went from a apprentice, I think he meant young apprentice, to general and George Washington's chief engineer and one of its most trusted officers. So the date of this is June 17th. It's at 7 p.m. and it'll be at the North Brookfield Senior Center. So if you're interested in that talk. Memorial Day services, Monday morning, May 31st, 9:30 a.m. in front of the public library. We'll do a scaled down Memorial Day activities. No parade this year, unfortunately. Things were lifted too late to plan for it. They were operating under the assumption that parades weren't going to be allowed in time. So, plus a lot of our veterans are on the older side. Present company excluded, I guess. So they're
doing cemeteries too, Dale. If people want to attend down there, they're doing Walnut Grove for right around 8.
Okay.
I think 8 or 8:30.
Yep.
Then we're doing St. Joe's shortly after.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're interested in the graveside services that they put on, the honors that they do at the grave sites, 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Grove
Down
Street.
Walnut Grove.
And then shortly thereafter could follow the crowd probably over to the other one. The services will start up in the center at 9:30 a.m. Family Fun Day at the Town Forest Park will be Saturday morning at 11:30 a.m. There'll be hot dogs and instructors on hand to teach disc golf if you're interested. The new disc golf is up and running at the town park, so they'll have instructors present to teach the kids. So that should be fun. That's on Saturday morning starting at 11:30. And then I mentioned the talk thing. All right. That's everything I think we have on the agenda. Right?
Yes.
We all good?
No,
We all good?
Yep.
Is there anything you wanted to?
I was just gonna mention the Brickyard Park that we've been working on, the rail trail. We've got it pretty much opened up now. If you go down off of Brickyard Road where the gate is and you park or you wanna walk that far, go down about 600 feet, you'll see a pile of dirt and a path up the hill. Take the path. It's a nice off the beaten path part of the rail trail that we've taken a lot of time. It took 5 weeks, a bunch of guys up there to clear the brush. We made some benches down near the pond. It's actually called Walcott Pond. Brandon can fill you in on all the history about the Walcotts. But it's a nice little walk around. It's about maybe a half a mile journey if you do the whole thing off of the trail. But it's just something different than walking straight on the trail. It's going to be really nice. Hopefully we can get the Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts to go up there and use it for camping or whatever they would want to do.
It's a good idea.
So it's a nice off the beaten path thing. You can't drive to it. You can only get there walking.
What God gave you.
So, yep. So it's really nice. And Matt said he was up there the other day. He's going to check it out even more this week. Check it out when you go up there. Yep. So that's it.
Excellent. All right. Well, if that's it, I will entertain a motion to enter executive for exemption number 1, and we will only re-enter open session to adjourn. So, Dale Kiley, yes?
John Tripp, yes?
Okay. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you.